Good morning, welcome to Rising. We have a fantastic show for you today. It's a big week, obviously, with the first presidential debate coming up on Thursday. We will get to that in just a minute. Jessica, you're going to be here all week, I believe.
I will. We're going to have some good debate coverage. I'm excited for that.
Yes, we're very excited. But first, we did want to let you know, so we're doing something slightly different today and hopefully in the future. Same exact content of the show. We're going to be posting one long video. You know, the show is usually separate blocks, videos, like 8 of them a day. We're going to try it just as one video because YouTube has tweaked something. You let us know. It should be the exact same content. If you don't like it, you like it better, tell us, leave comments, tweet at us, harass us on the street, whatever you want. But don't worry, it'll be the same show, just presented slightly differently. But speaking of news about Rising itself, today is actually my 3rd year anniversary since the first time I hosted the show back in 2021. My producers thought it would be funny to actually play a clip from that first show. Let's watch.
I want to introduce my new co-host, Robby Soave joins me. Robby, welcome. Good to have you.
Great to be here. Really glad to be part of the show. I'm an editor for the magazine Reason, a libertarian publication. I'm from the Detroit area, live in D.C. now, and I'm really excited about doing the show.
That's fantastic. We're glad to have you and look forward to your perspective on all the issues we'll talk about today.
Thank you. I look about 20 years younger there, not 3 years younger.
No. Has the show aged you, Robby?
Yeah, I think like those pictures of Lincoln from like before the Civil War and then after. I think we're going to play a couple more of those clips later in the show. But okay, let's get to some actual news. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Biden and Trump meeting again in a face-to-face showdown in Atlanta, where the first 2024 presidential debate will go down. The much-anticipated event will be just as crucial for President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump as it will be for the hosting organization CNN. The network, whose ratings have precipitously declined in recent years, will have the monumental task of broadcasting the showdown that is surely going to have monumental consequences for the election in November. Now, in past years, an independent commission has presided over presidential debates. Not this time. CNN has full and total control from moderators to the camera angles, the power to mute the mics of the candidates at their discretion.
Both men are prepping for the matchup in their own ways. President Biden is holed up in Camp David, Maryland, hunkering down with a team of advisors helping him practice, according to reporters. The practice will include drilling down on themes Biden's camp hopes will drive the week, and the president's strategy will cap off with a mock debate. Meanwhile, it's business as usual for Trump. He kicked off debate week with a rally in Philadelphia, Biden's adopted hometown. And in true Trump fashion, he went after Biden for secluding himself this week to prepare for Thursday. Went after CNN moderators Dana Bash and Jake Tapper, too. Here's a little bit of that. Let's watch.
You know, that's the first time that Sleepy Joe has ever beaten Crooked Joe. It's the first. So tonight, we'll refer to him as Sleepy Joe. Because right now, as you know, it's been reported that right now Crooked Joe's gone to a log cabin to study, prepare. No, he didn't. He's sleeping now. Because they want to get him good and strong. So a little before debate time, he gets a shot in the ass. And they want to strengthen him up.
All bashing aside, Politico reports that there is some practicing going on. The former president is focusing on policy issues, but decided to scrap a mock debate. His advisors are urging him to steer clear of repeating his aggressive 2020 debate tactic, incessantly interrupting Biden, that he was widely perceived to have lost the debate. But if Sunday's MAGA rally is any indication, Trump appears undaunted.
So interrupting will be difficult, if not impossible, because they're literally going to turn off the mic of the other candidate, or they're going to turn off Trump while Biden is speaking, and vice versa. So this is, going to be a big event, obviously. It's a big event for CNN, which, as we just noted, has had a rough couple years, fewer and fewer people watching. So this was a big win for them, that they were able to outmaneuver the other TV stations to host this debate. this very historic debate whose rules have been structured by CNN itself in conversation with the candidates rather than the independent debate commission that neither candidate said they wanted to work with. There's no love lost between me and the independent debate commission. They obviously screwed up a lot of things. I was still feeling spitefully of them that they didn't allow the libertarian candidate in the debates back in 2016, even when Gary Johnson was polling, very close to that 15% threshold. And that is also the big story here because RFK Jr. will not be in this debate despite polling 10% or 12% in some national polls. Again, it's not that he has to get to 15 because they threw the rule book out. They can do whatever they want. So they are consciously choosing not to feature a candidate that 1 in 10 Americans is saying they might vote for in November.
And RFK Jr.'s legal team has pointed to some of the FEC regulations of what constitutes an official presidential debate because they move the deadline to, you have to be officially on the ballot, able to receive electoral college votes. But a lot of secretaries of state across the country don't even count the signatures, don't even assess the paperwork to ensure that, RFK Jr. or any candidate can be on the ballot. And so because that deadline is typically later in the summer, they've structured the rules in a way to exclude RFK Jr. But we also don't have the official RNC and DNC conventions yet. Neither Trump nor Biden are considered to be, the official nominees of either party. And so the legal team's raising this question, well, if you're excluding me for this reason, you should exclude them as well. We shouldn't be allowed to have a debate if these are the real rules and you're not just trying to have a debate between Biden and Trump. And so even in Australia, they're covering this and saying, look at what's going on in America. I was watching a clip of Sky News, and they're saying, look at how corrupt their democratic process is. Look at what CNN is doing to exclude this viable candidate from a debate.
Yeah, and the mainstream media says democracy is at stake, democracy is on the ballot. That's the fundamental issue of this election. Implicitly or explicitly calling out Donald Trump's behavior to allegedly subvert democracy and the steps he took in the wake of his loss in January 6th and all that. Democracy subverted because of those things, but not because you won't let people hear from one of the candidates in the democratic system. I think it really is a shame. We'll see how the debate goes. If it's done really well, it could, I guess, be a big achievement for CNN. Probably millions and millions of people will be tuning in. The history of these presidential debates is massive. People turn on their TVs, they watch it. It's a thing that people are very interested in. The spectacle of Trump versus Biden, again, I think will draw a lot of viewers. If it's done badly, if they screw something up, it is all on them. They can't blame any other entity because they set all the rules themselves. I think the cutting of people So the lack of an audience is interesting and I think could improve things. So too could not having them be able to interrupt each other because that can become that can be not good. Except some cutting in is important for the debate because if they really can't. If it's just like I'm going to read a statement and then you're going to read a statement and then I'm going to read a statement, you know what I mean? It starts to chip away at the actual debate-ish element of it. Obviously, if Biden's trying to talk and Trump's just talking over him the whole time, or vice versa. Of course, in one of the debates, it was more Trump arguing with who was it? Chris Wallace, formerly of Fox News, and he was arguing with him more than he was arguing with Joe Biden. Like Wallace appointed himself almost the Democratic candidate in the debate, and I know that performance was really panned. I don't know if it contributed to him leaving Fox, but a lot of conservatives were furious about how he handled that debate. And that was ostensibly a Fox person, although he wasn't at Fox very much longer.
Yeah, there was this book that came out, Robert Erickson and Christopher Wisen, about how much presidential debates actually matter, how much they're influencing elections. For a candidate like RFK Jr., of course, he would likely go up in the polls. More people would just be aware of who he is.
Right, because of name recognition.
Right.
Well, he has name recognition, but people don't know.
Yeah, and so that would constitute probably a significant change in the polls. But what the data shows is that in 9 presidential elections between 1980 and 2008, that it was only a couple percentage points, if that. So it doesn't change things dramatically, but in a race like this one where it's extremely close, it is very important. But there are cases where, there were shifts in the polls where it's credited to other factors, like in '76, when you had Jimmy Carter and Gerald Ford, he had a gaffe in the debate, and they, credit that to be the shift in the polls. And then you have President Obama in 2012, but of course we had the financial crisis, and they credit that to be the major shifts in the polls. So there's all sorts of reasons why we might see shifts in the polls around the time of the debate, but it's actually a longer trend than just what we're seeing during the debate.
Yeah, I think Team Biden's theory is that the reality of Trump running again, potentially being in the White House again, has not sunk in with ordinary, everyday Americans, and they need a reminder of that fact, and this is what the debate is going to serve as. I think the theory for Team Trump is that the more exposed, the more put in front of a camera, put in front of an audience Biden is and Trump is, the better it will be for Trump because of all the concerns. I mean, there are some concerns about mental fitness both ways, but are extraordinarily more on the Biden side. The way voters feel, even Democratic voters feel about Biden is horror and concern as they see him, stumble his way through major speeches, through interviews with the press, etc. So I think, they're hoping people will see that this guy is just not capable of serving another 4 years. So
I think people are sick of both of these guys. We might see a Nixon-Gore scenario where they both go down in the polls after this debate.
That would not surprise me either. Now stay with us. We'll be back with more Rising right after this.